What's up, guys? Lore here with more Heart of the Swarm beta action. Got a Terran versus Zerg coming up for you today here on Cloud Kingdom LE. Up here in the northeast corner, as the blue Terran, we have Pest as our Terran player. Yeah, and down here in the southwest corner, we have a Korean. Oh my god, it's a Korean. Oh my god, you guys, it's a Korean. He's okay, so GG. Well done, Pest. You played quite well, but unfortunately, you were up against a Korean. Okay, so I did actually poke around a bit. I was experimenting a little bit with Google Translate before I actually decided to cast this game because I was not just gonna call him the Korean the whole game. I gotta figure out what his name actually is. So I went and looked it up. Spent a while trying to figure out, like, I had to like halfway learn the Korean alphabet even just to be able to figure this out. But I figured it out. And according to Google Translate, I'm going to play the Google Translate, the actual voice for you guys. The name, because I'm going to botch it if I try to say it myself. The name is
대군주러쉬.
대군주러쉬 or something like that. I don't actually know exactly how that's, like, even what the inflections were in there. But according to the actual translation into English then, our Zerg player's name here is Overlord Rush. He's actually named himself Overlord Rush. I'm so glad I looked that up because that is a hilarious name, Overlord Rush. Now it could technically, I asked around a little bit on Twitter, it could technically mean like Overlord Speed, which obviously is an upgrade that you can get. But you know what? Screw that. He may have meant pneumatized carapace was actually what he meant, but no, screw that. Overlord Rush, that's this guy's name. We'll have to see if he actually goes for an Overlord Rush. No, actually looks like he's going for a fast hatchery before pool even. Going for a fast hatchery, which should be relatively safe. Pest is getting up his barracks just now, and he does have a fast refinery. So refinery finishing before barracks, which means we'll probably see some early tech, or maybe a Reaper out of him in this game. He's actually dropping down that supply depot right away to lock in that drone. So that drone is now stuck. It may actually not be a bad idea to go turn into a Vespene Geyser, but he's going to poke around here a little bit more and see what he can see first. Maybe try and pick off that SCV. We'll have to check in on him in a second. But down over here we see spawning pools up and running. Extractor is on its way as well. And this expansion is about ready to finish. So it looks like, unfortunately, we do not have an Overlord Rush in this game. Looks like he's going for a more macro-oriented play. I want to see somebody just Overlord. Yeah, there he goes. He actually makes the extractor up over here. I want to see somebody actually do an Overlord Rush sometime and just send, like, all of their early larvae go into, like, just nothing but the initial drones that you get, and all of your early larvae go into Overlords. You just send them, you sit them over your opponent's face and be like, sup, what are you going to do about this? Nothing, that's what. And then you GG 3 seconds later because there's no possible way that you could ever win with an Overlord Rush. Do have a fast factory now coming up for Pest, so it doesn't look... Wow, that is really annoying to listen to. Doesn't look like we're going to see that fast Reaper. In fact, he's just getting out a Marine. Has no... Oh, there we go. Now a Reactor coming up on that barracks. So yeah, no fast Reaper in this game. And this is interesting. He's actually building a bunker behind. I believe that Overlord Rush has spotted this. He's going to try and pick off that... Oh, but his Zerglings were out of position. That's unfortunate. So he is going to lose that one Zergling. And with that SCV over there, this could actually be terrible for Pest. For Overlord Rush. He needs to be killing off that SCV. It doesn't look like it's going to matter. He has enough Zerglings there to be able to finish that off. So with just that one Marine, not as scary as it could have been by any means. Looks like he only lost about 2 or 3 Zerglings in that. This second Marine is going to turn around. But I don't really think that was supposed to be a kill move either. That was just something really early on for Pest to do, to sort of harass and try to force some extra Zerglings. And actually, Overlord Rush responded to that incredibly well, all things considered. He did end up losing one of those Zerglings, a couple of those Zerglings that he didn't really need to. He could have microed a little bit better, I think. But he was able to clean that up with... Well, never mind. As soon as I say that, I spot 1,000,001. Why is there a heart? Unbuildable rocks. Their icon is actually a heart. If you group select them, their icon is a heart. That is hilarious. But he did end up building a bunch more Zerglings than was probably necessary to hold that off. Might have been expecting a little bit more pressure out of Pest, but Pest was just being exactly that. He was just being a pest with that push. And now it looks like he might try to be... This heart is going to crack me up every time. Looks like he might try to be even more of a pest as he's sending out a few Hellions. Oh, but the Zergling will spot the Hellions on the way. Are we going to see any Spine Crawlers go up out of Overlord Rush over here? We're going to see Overlords come up out of Overlord Rush. Yes, there is one Spine Crawler on the way. Just one Spine Crawler for just these 3 Hellions. That may be all he really needs. Although in his main, yeah, there's a second spine crawler going up in his main over here as well. Going to send out those Zerglings. They do not have Zergling speed yet. It's just about to there. Now it just finishes. So he's going to be able to surround these Hellions. The Hellions do swing themselves around and get in a nice position. Very good unit control from both players so far. Really awesome game thus far. He's going to lose a few drones here. Honestly, probably could have pulled those back. But instead, he's going to try and go for this round. Does manage to pick off one Hellion in the back there, leaving just 2 to come up over here into the main. Are they going to be able to kill any more drones? They're going to pull away, and they are going to be able to escape as these Zerglings come around over here. Should be able to finish those off. If they get one more shot off. They shot at the Zerglings and not at the drones. Might have been able to kill a couple more drones there, but that was another early harassment. Very nicely deflected by Overlord Rush over here. Now, he does have now a ton of Zerglings out, and I feel like he may have overproduced those a little bit for the actual harassment that he was getting. Ooh, Midowines. We've got some Midowines out on the field. Widowmines coming up. And there's actually a Marauder in that bunker. I don't think I've ever seen anybody actually put Marauders in a bunker before, so that could be interesting. And wow, that's a lot of queued up SCVs over there. Doesn't want to have to forget about his SCV production at all. Two full queues of SCVs as he's adding on a couple more factories. So I'm guessing we're going to see more of these Widow Mines. Honestly, there was a game at Cast the other day where we saw Widow Mines just being ridiculously effective. They're so good. We'll have to see if they remain effective in this matchup, as we do have the Infestation Pit now on the way from Overlord Rush. I love that name, Overlord Rush. It's silly, and that's what I like about it. Finishing up his wall in up over here. He's actually walled in this Widow Mine as well, but he's finishing up that wall in. Looked like there was actually something. This Widow Mine is on cooldown, which means something actually came up in here to try and poke around a little bit. I'm curious if our buddy Overlord Rush, yeah, he did actually get up in there and spot that was going on. But nothing too major going on, and where they be at? So he built the Infestation Pit to not necessarily to get out infestors. In fact, instead, any second now they're gonna fly. There we go. We got swarm hosts on the way from Overlord Rush. We haven't, honestly, I haven't seen Zergs using swarm hosts as much since that big batch of like Stefano games that I cast a while ago. Haven't really seen people using swarm hosts. I almost said overlords. Haven't really seen people using. Oh, did he spot those? He did not spot the swarm hosts that were on the way. He's obviously now seen the Infestation Pit, but infestors are so good right now that he's going to be expecting infestors. Meanwhile, with these swarm hosts on the way, there is actually another one in production now. That was nice. Actually, that's that ragdoll physics that they've added recently at work there. Knocked that dead Zergling halfway across the map. And ooh, these Zerglings coming around over here. That's a bit too many Hellions for them to actually be able to deal with, and they're gonna get a little bit more roasted as well. So a bit too many Hellions out on the field for those Zerglings. He doesn't really have anything else that can really deal with those if they were to come up in here, obviously, except for these spine crawlers. Doesn't really have anything else that can deal with those, but he's just going all out with these swarm hosts, building those like crazy now. Does now have a couple of them built up over here, and he's going to spawn in these dudes, but the Hellions aren't there anymore. They are down over here and about to come in here and try to do some damage. Does have some Zerglings in there, and should be able to deflect this. In fact, very nice surround, blocking those Hellions in with the spine crawlers. Very nicely handled from Overlord Rush. He's going to push that back, and that's going to be his cue to start doing a little bit more damage, I think, with those Hellions out of the way, and with all of these swarm hosts now on their way out over there. Yeah, he spawns a bunch of those locusts. Actually doesn't do anything with the locusts. That's unfortunate. He could have sent those locusts up over there, but I think he's trying to maintain the elements of surprise with the swarm hosts. I don't think, in fact, there's more of them now coming up over here. I don't think that Pest has actually spotted them just yet. And in fact, he's getting out more Hellions, which I think are good against these. I'm honestly not sure. And he can now see that over there. So as these locusts spawn in and get sent over there, see if the Widow Mine does anything. Widow Mine does do some damage, but these are free units. It doesn't really matter if they're dying. So all this damage that's being done right now is totally free damage, and they're now burrowed out in front here. He does scan to try and take them out. Will take out one right away. But the rest are going to fall back, and now come in the Zerglings from behind, coming in for this round. Not quite enough Zerglings there to be able to do any real damage, so he's going to continue to fall back, but this is a ton of swarm hosts over here. He's going to burrow them down and be able to spawn a whole ton of locusts right away. and those are going to do a pretty decent amount of damage. Does lose a couple of the swarm hosts right away, but look at the Locust pushing these back. Those are 2 swarm hosts down and 1 almost dead. Just doing tons of damage with these Locusts. These swarm hosts are really, really good for just basically doing free damage, and now he's going to be able to send more of these out up over here. He's going to try and finish off that siege tank as these guys continue to head over there. We'll kill that right away. Not quite going to get in range in time, but is he researching the increase? No, he has not yet increased the 10-second increased lifetime on the Locust. That would be huge for him right now. With that 10 seconds of increased lifetime, you can be so much farther away with the swarm host and still be able to get your Locust up over there to do some damage. But this siege it's kind of an awkward situation for a Terran to be in Zerg versus Protoss. Terrans aren't used to being sieged in, did I say this was Protoss? Terrans aren't used to being sieged in Terran versus Zerg. So he's going to actually lose the rest of his siege tanks there, and these Locusts are just doing tons of damage. Now the Widowmine does kill off the rest of those Zerglings over there. But this is a really, really scary and methodical push. In fact, look at that. He's actually spawning in Locusts to defend the swarm hosts as they continue to move up. Very nice. Now, with this missile turret up on the high ground, he is actually able to see those while they're burrowed. So that's an unfortunate spot for him to be burrowed in. In fact, I don't think he knows that that's there. Oh, he does know that that's there. And, nice. He's going to use the Locusts to kill that off. The Locusts do have a ranged attack. And now with that Widowmine on cooldown, he's going to move in here to do some more damage. Not quite able to finish off that bunker over there. I'd really like to see him researching that. It's only 200 for that. He's definitely got the resources. Would like to see him researching that increased lifetime on the Locust. But this siege is just plain scary. Now behind this, and that bunker that bunker's going to go down now. And as these Locusts continue to move in here, just look at the amount of damage they're able to put out for completely free. That does not cost Overlord Rush anything in terms of actual supply. Now he's going to try and send out some more of these Hellions over here to do some more damage. Even the Widowmine can't quite kill those things in one hit. So this is just going to be really, really annoying for Pest. Pest is being pestered at this point in the match. Let's real quick look around and check and see what else is going on. How is Pest going to respond to this? Now he did get a starport up, and he's adding on a reactor, which I don't think is really going to do him too much. Like, was the Vikings going to do him some good? No, not really. Another big rush coming in here from Overlord Rush. And in fact, he clears up the rest of those, and now he's going to be able to do some work on the SCV line over here. Doesn't actually really seem to have killed too much in the way of SCVs. I only saw 2 or 3 of them actually die in there. But on second thought, there may have actually been several of them that died in that batch. And now as more Locusts continue to swarm in here, killing off more SCVs, killing off that remaining barracks. And we do have these Hellions over here have gone into Battle Hellion mode, and they've been able to clean up this expansion over here. They've forced these drones to back off, but with all these spine crawlers there, that really doesn't allow him to do too much. And meanwhile, even more going on. Wow, he's moving up. That's a dangerous move up from those swarm hosts, but they're going to be able to spawn in more Locusts and should be able to finish this off. Unfortunately for him, there is still that Widowmine there that he just burrowed on top of. So, looks like he's burrowed just outside of that Widowmine's range. Yeah, just outside. It's actually not showing me. Oh, there it is. Yeah, just outside of that Widowmine's range. But, yeah. Them Locusts, they do damage. These ones are just going to sit there, but normally they do damage. This, I guess, is the Overlord Rush. There's just a whole bunch of them sitting up over here. Now, we do have an expansion coming up for Pest over here. And since he got up that starport, he actually hasn't produced much of anything out of it. He does, never mind, excuse me, he does have a couple Vikings out now. Just sort of poking around the map, clearing up Overlords. He does have a siege tank up on the high ground, but otherwise he's besieged quite heavily. In fact, I don't know how he's going to get that third base up. However, behind this, Overlord Rush has also not taken his third base. He still does not have this third up. We're now 20 minutes into the game and no third for either player. So that is a bit iffy, honestly. A whole bunch of Zerglings just sort of sitting around in his main over here, too. By the way, if you just heard that probe sound, that was actually my phone making probe noises, not a Protoss suddenly appearing in the game. So apologies for that. Go ahead and mute that thing. Scan dropping down somewhere, right up here in the main. Doesn't really see too much, although you will see that he is in fact going up to Hive. So, I'm not sure actually what this army composition will really get out of Hive. Excuse me, he could be going up to Ultralis. In fact, wow, he's actually adding on a macro Excuse me, wow. Adding on a macro hatchery into his base along with this third. I feel like he should get that third up first, but he does have quite a bit of a bank, so he can probably make good use of that. In fact, he stopped swarm... Never mind, excuse me. He's got 3 more swarm hosts in production now over here, so he is going to continue with swarm host production. They've been really effective for him so far, honestly. Like, swarm hosts seem really, really good, so why not keep making them? Pest has actually supply blocked himself, and wow, he's sitting at 73. In fact... Just look at the supplies this late in the game. This game is weird. We're now 21 minutes into the game, and neither player is over 100 supply. That's pretty rare to actually see. Which I guess just means, like, I don't know how Overlord Rush isn't higher in supply at this point. Maybe because he keeps making Zerglings and then losing them? That may be a possibility. But Pest should be working on that as well. And wow, a second macro hatchery now coming out for Overlord Rush. I think he's just realized that he has tons of units, which he's just not building with them. Like, maybe he's just not been very good on his larva injects or something. I'm not sure. Like, I can see a larva inject going there. There is not one going on that hatchery at the moment. So maybe that's what the issue is? I'm not sure. But he definitely has a very large bank over here that is going to contribute to being able to use those hatcheries. Sorry, I suddenly realized that I was still on Mumble too. I'm just failing all over the place today and making sure that I'm prepared to actually cast matches. We do have Vipers now coming out for Overlord Rush, but they're going to just die because there's Vikings out. They're not actually going to be able to do anything at all. I mean, they could theoretically... Oh, wait, no, that just gives energy. It doesn't give health. So those Vipers are just going to straight up die. I'm not sure why he felt the need to build them, though. I'm kind of getting the impression that Overlord Rush is just sort of experimenting with the new units with this setup. But like I don't know. There wasn't really a reason to build those at this point. He could use it to like yank down siege tanks and have Zerglings kill him or something. But I don't know. In fact, he's got a swarm host sitting at the front base here, which is weird. Now he is getting what? Oh, he's getting Burrow Charge and Ultralisks out. So yeah, I'm calling this the let's build all the new Heart of the Swarm unit strategy out of Overlord Rush, because really the only non-Heart of the Swarm unit he's built so far is like Overlords, Drones, and Zerglings, and Queens, I guess. But that's about it. Everything else is new to Heart of the Swarm. So I'm guessing he's just experimenting with all the new units, trying to find a place for him. He's almost kind of toying with Pest at this point, to be completely honest. I feel like he could have killed him a while ago. Pest, however, is now continuing to ramp up production. He's getting out some Vikings, getting out more and more Hellions, which do actually seem to do fairly well against those. Let me see if I can find a... Looks like he does not have any Locusts just sitting around at the moment. I'm trying to figure out if they are armored or biological, or if they're armored or not. I don't think they are armored. Or excuse me, if they're light. That's what I was trying to find. I don't think they are armored. I think they are light units, which would make these Hellions do... That's a lot of Hellions, actually, by the way. Would make them do a lot of damage. Especially the Battle Hellion mode would be really good against defending this because of that cone attack instead of the line. Very good at dealing with that sort of thing. But Overlord Rush now has 3 expansions up and running. Or excuse me, 3 bases up and running. I guess this one is now completely mined out. But the 2 bases are mining quite well. And he has these Ultralisks on the way. We do have a planetary fortress up over here for Pest, so he is getting his economy up and going as well. In fact, he has a bit of an SCV convention going on over here. Needs to send those guys off to work. They're being lazy. Need to get to work. This is interesting. Just sort of poking around over here, trying to kill off Overlords. I guess that's the best way to stop an Overlord Rush, is to just kill them. He is going to lose a couple of Vikings in the process. Doesn't really kill too many. In fact, he did actually supply block Overlord Rush, so he's going to have to make more Overlords, which seems like something he'd probably be fine with. But those Vikings are going to back off without having done a ton of damage. Now, the unfortunate thing here is that he doesn't actually have anything that can shoot up at the moment. I don't believe Locusts can actually attack air units. I know they have a ranged attack, but I think it's limited to ground targets, kind of like roaches. So you should be able to spot that big old army sitting over there too. I'm not sure that Overlord, like, if he just were to like, he's got a starport over here. Oh, in fact, he is actually producing Banshees. He's got a different starport someplace else that I'm not seeing. Oh, it's right next to it. He is now producing Banshees. Never mind, we got a big attack going on over here. In fact, this looks really favorable for Pest in his positionings. He's not able to quite get up in there and do as much damage as he should be. These Hellions are actually buffering that damage quite a bit, and now with this Banshee out over here, there's nothing here that can attack up. Yeah, the Banshee is not taking any damage from those Locusts. Nothing over here that can attack up, and this should actually allow Pest to push Overlord Rush back. And, ooh, that's a bit sloppy. He's landing the Vikings. There's no real reason to land them. They're just going to take some damage, and wow, Overlord Rush just up and leaves. Well, that was a sudden and abrupt end to that game. I kind of wonder if that really was just let's see how these new units actually work. But I think with that Banshee, with those Banshees out, and with this production coming out of Pest, he was at least starting to swing forward. But otherwise, that is a game that had a sudden and abrupt end. But it was still an interesting game to watch at the very least. We got to see a whole lot of new stuff, new Heart of the Swarm stuff in that match. So still a cool match to watch. GG's to both players. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Lore, and I will see you in the next match.